welcome to the Real Connor Miller Show, episode 5. Excited to have the people that are still here. I'm sure it's the 7 people that always comment on every single post I post. So for you guys, I'm super grateful. If there's anyone out there that's a straggler that happened to bump in here and listen, I hope you get something out of it. So this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about some mental health things as it relates to business and specifically my industry, which is the transportation industry. I just attended a conference in San Diego last week, and forgive me guys, I just got Invisalign last week, so I'm probably going to have a lisp on some of this shit. So just bear with me here. Don't hold me over the fire, please. So last week, went to a conference out in San Diego. It was nice to finally get out. You know, my industry has been very much like a work from home industry for the past couple of years because of COVID. So it was really nice to get out and meet all of these people that I had been talking to on LinkedIn for the last year, and really just get that face-to-face time. I really don't think anything will replace that, no matter how far technology advances. Great conference, a lot of information, specifically regarding technology and innovation and things that I feel like get talked about a lot, modern day times. But one thing just didn't really sit right with me, and I made a post on LinkedIn about it. It was probably one of my biggest engagement posts that I've ever had on LinkedIn. So I know there's other people out there that think about this. But when I left, you know, it was like, there wasn't a lot of talk about mental health in the industry. And frankly, I believe our industry is one of the hardest ones to work in. It's ever changing constantly. It's probably one of the fastest paced industries you can work in. And it's very frustrating because especially in brokerage, depending on how much freight you move every day, let's just say you move 100 loads a day, you're literally trusting 100 independent contractors every single day to do what they say they're going to do. And that can be stressful. So one thing that I want to dive into is the mental health side and why I think it's important. So when I started in the business, I was a totally different person. Like, I didn't think mental health was important. Like, it was all about making money. It was all about growing, and I didn't care about that side. I didn't think that I needed to. I thought that side would just take care of itself, and I'd keep making money and keep growing, and I would never get burnt out, and I'd just be fine. Well, had a rude awakening on that after being in the industry for a couple years. I remember when I started in the industry, I just worked in track and trace. And then I became a carrier sales rep. And I remember about a year into my journey as a carrier sales rep, I actually was going home and drinking between a 6 and a 12 pack a day. Not even really thinking anything of it because I was functioning still. I was still doing things at a high level. And I guess I just wasn't thinking about the long-term impact that something like that can have on your life. So that probably went on for about a year before I really started to realize, like, damn, dude, like, this is really affecting my life. And especially me coming from a background of being an addict, it was like I was reliving that all over again. And it was literally strictly because I wasn't dealing with my emotions. Like, we work in a high stress industry and emotions are high every single day. And if we don't learn how to deal with those things, we're literally going to compartmentalize them somewhere in our brain. And eventually that's going to manifest itself in a bad behavior. It's the same view that I have on addiction. So finally realized that I was taking a toll, or that it was taking a toll on me, and started going to therapy. And not only just for that, but just for other things in life. I just wanted to get better overall as a person and just learn really who I was and what I wanted out of life, and really just bring some self-awareness. So throughout going to therapy, just started to learn a lot about myself. And something occurred to me that I didn't really think of before, I guess. And it was that if I didn't have my mental health, I was never going to be able to function optimally. And I didn't really think of that before because I thought I was functioning optimally. And I thought the decisions that I was making were the best decisions I could make. So I started to focus on my mental health a lot, grew a lot from that. I went to therapy, 3 years straight, like every week, and literally became a different person. It helped me in being a leader. It helped me in growing a business. It helped me in my relationships in life. It helped me probably in every aspect that you can think of. And one thing that I think at least for the industry, one thing that I think needs to happen is we need to normalize psychological health. We all want to grow, we all want to build these big businesses, and we all care about profit and like all this other stuff. But none of that is sustainable unless you're level-headed and you're mentally healthy. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that. So when I was at the conference, there was so much talk about technology. There was these panels about innovation and panels about building relationships with customers and so on and so forth. And it just didn't sit well with me that we didn't talk about mental health. There wasn't a panel about it. And I think it's probably the single most important thing in the industry. And here's why. You're not mentally healthy, you're not going to execute that deal. And if you do execute that deal, halfway through, you're going to drop the ball at some point because you're not focused. If you're not focused, you're going to drop the ball. If you're not mentally healthy, you're not focused. Through my process and going to therapy and changing and growing, I realized that everyone should have that opportunity, not just me. So I actually have the same practice that I went to, the same therapist that I went to, and all of his therapists that work under him in his practice are available to any ArdentX employee that wants to work on their mental health. And I think so far since announcing that, I actually was in an employee review last week where an employee actually broke down in the review and was like, wow, look, I'm not even sure why I'm crying right now. I think it's because I feel like I have the most support that I've ever had in my life as far as work goes. And I'd really love to use that benefit of going to the therapist. And I'd say that is probably, since we've announced that, at least the 12th person that's gone and that's wanted to get better and wanted to grow in their mental health. And every single person that we've had go to counseling, it's all been their decision. It's not something that we force, it's an option. But every single person that's gone, even they still go, has become a way better person and a way more effective worker. Because the belief that I have is you can't be your most effective at work if you're not right mentally. So if you're a leader out there, I think one of the most important things that I would take away from what I'm saying right now is vulnerability is literally the core pillar that you should have in your leadership approach. You have vulnerability as a leader, you build trust with your people. Your people know that you're not perfect. Your people know that you make mistakes. Your people know that it's okay to make a mistake and that you're going to empower them to grow from those mistakes. And for me, before I even announced this program in-house, I told everybody that I go to therapy. Everybody's known that I've gone to therapy since I started going to therapy. And I'd say that every employee that's been here throughout that process has noticed a fundamental difference in who I am as a leader. And I think that's what inspires some of the people to do it for themselves. So it really starts from the top down. And I would love to see more leaders in our industry take on this model. One thing that I would love to see is if we can get some people together to maybe start a panel of our own where we talk about mental health in the industry and why it's so important and why building a big business is not sustainable without mental health. So one of the things that I would love to encourage you guys to do, because what I'm building here, I want to be collaborative. Like, this show is not about me. It's called The Real Connor Miller Show because I like to keep it real. And that's why we talk about topics like this, because a lot of big businesses don't. But it's not about me. This is a collaborative thing. And I know I'm not the only person out there that's ever struggled with something like this. And I know I'm not the only person out there that has input on this. So I'd love to hear from my peers that watch this show and really talk about some experiences that you may have had regarding mental health in the workplace. It doesn't have to be in transportation. It could be in any industry. There's plenty of stories that I've heard from other people that work in other industries that I've been able to shed some light on. Because really, the model that I have, it's not perfect, but it's also because I've done everything wrong. And I think that's one of the most important takeaways here. The only reason why we found what works is because we've found everything that doesn't work. So I'd love to be able to shed that light on for you and not have you have to go through all the things that don't work. And I'd love to be able to talk to you about the things that have worked for us.